The PlayAction Podcast is fueled by Picasso's Pizza, where every night is pizza night.
We have reached the bye week for the Buffalo Bills, something I always look forward to personally. But Mark, let's still pod today. We're going to talk about the offense and the defense before we get into some things we're working on and just kind of a state of the union of the Bills offense. They are 9-2, ahead of where some people expected them to be, I would say. What are you seeing out of the offense up until this point?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt they're exceeding everyone's expectation, even the most optimistic Bills Mafia. Zubaz wearing face painting person, probably didn't have them at 9-2. I think the offense is. I think the addition of Amari Cooper has raised the ceiling for this offense, and if they did not have Amari Cooper, their prospects would not be as optimistic. And right now, the sky is the limit. If you look at their base numbers, it's not that impressive. They're 13th in yards, they're 12th in passing, but points, they're third in the league in points.
Yep.
Third downs started poor, but the last 4 games have been great. And then if you look at the advanced stats, because some of their stats, they've played a bunch of wide games, that Jacksonville, Miami, where they're just running out the clock. But if you look at their advanced analytics, their DVOA, they're 4th in offense, 6th in running, 5th in passing. So the yardage numbers really don't tell the story. And then we go to the win over Kansas City, which happened without Coleman, without Kincaid, without Spencer Brown.
Yeah.
And they put up 30 points.
To your point on Amari Cooper, just his addition, I mean, he had 2 catches for 55 yards in that game against Kansas City, but what amazing catches they were. I mean, the first one especially, reeling it in with his injured hand. I think once he's back to his full self, he's going to be such a threat on this offense. And
he gives somebody who can absolutely win against one-on-one man coverage, which is something they have that with Shakir and Kincaid. They have it a little bit with Coleman, but Cooper takes them over the top, if you will, in that category. And they were able to pick on the Chiefs' weakest cornerback, Najee Johnson, on both of those plays. I thought it was funny. I asked Cooper in the locker room after the game, did you ever play baseball? That over-the-shoulder catch down the sideline going toward the scoreboard was just an amazing catch. He got his feet down, and he was like, no, he never played baseball, and no, it wasn't that tough of a catch. It wasn't a hard catch.
Sure.
He says. Okay. So, yes, I think and now, when they get Keon Coleman back and Kincaid, that really is, they have answers for what the defense is throwing at them.
Let's talk about James Cook for a second. His rushing yards don't necessarily pop, but his 10 touchdowns are second most among NFL running backs this season. Only Derrick Henry has more. What have you seen about the way they've used James Cook so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they have a power blocking offensive line. The offensive line is stouter in the middle of the 3. Edwards, McGovern, Torrance than it ever has been in the Josh Allen era. That helped with limiting pressure up the middle, the pass protection against a tough Kansas City. The pass protection doesn't get much tougher than it does against Kansas City with everything they throw at you. Amazing. You look at the pass protection on the 3rd and 9 completion to Shakir, where he got the shot in the ribs and caught the ball. They sent 7 guys. It was blocked up.
Yeah.
That was great. The pass protection on Josh Allen touchdown run was great. Anyway, I digress with the running question. I like obviously Cook's 6-yard touchdown run. That was really impressive how he ran over the safety in the middle of the line or bounced off him. I do think Kansas City presents a problem unlike many problems. So the running game was not good against Kansas City. The Bills, we wrote about this in the Buffalo News this week, the Bills tried to power up with big people, and it didn't work.
Right.
But not many teams have been able to throw the talent in the front 7 at the Bills like Kansas City. So the next time they play Kansas City, it'll be something to watch. But the Kansas City's 4-3 front shut down the Bills' big personnel runs. That was an anomaly. I don't think many teams are going to be able to do that.
No. You also talk about the state of the offense right now. They were banged up against Kansas City, but having the bye week now, they should be a lot healthier coming out of it. We'll see exactly how healthy, but expect Spencer Brown back, Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman still working through injuries, but they've got some added time now, so they've got time to kind of heal up there.
Yeah, regardless of how it looks against San Francisco, they are post-bye, they are getting healthier. They're going to be more, the reinforcements are coming.
Yes, and there's one person on the offense we didn't mention too much, Josh Allen, but we'll be hitting on him in segment 3 as he is a very critical part of this offense for sure.
Buffalo Bills defense coming off an up note against Kansas City, held Patrick Mahomes to 21 points. The Chiefs did move the ball, but, that's Patrick Mahomes. What do you expect? Katherine, where do you think the Bills defense stands here at the bye?
Yeah, something that's really stood out to me is just their takeaways this season. They've had at least one in every game, 2 against Kansas City. Part of that comes from just, their mentality during the week. Talked to a lot of guys in the locker room after the Kansas City win, and Terrell Bernard in particular was saying how, on the sidelines the entire game against Kansas City, they were talking about, let's get a takeaway every series, he said. He mentioned during the week, every day, that's the first thing Bobby Babich talks about. And it's working. Again, they have at least one in every game this season. 4 against the Indianapolis Colts, if you go back to that. But I think their ability to kind of, as Sean McDermott calls it, steal a possession for the offense has been really critical.
Yeah, they lead the league in takeaways with 21, or they're tied for first with 21 takeaways right now. Takeaways aren't necessarily a stat that is as consistent week to week across the league. They have been for the Bills, and actually we wrote a story about this in the Buffalo News. It's remarkable. The Bills have been top 10 in takeaways all 8 years of Sean McDermott's tenure, the only team in the league that has been top 10 all 8 years of McDermott's tenure. So, what are some of the factors that create takeaways? Well, good players, obviously, but playing with a lead helps create takeaways. So that's where Josh Allen helps.
Yes.
And pass rush creates takeaways. So why did, obviously, the last takeaway was a great play against Kansas City. Terrell Bernard, just phenomenal ball skills to make the diving. But Kansas City was in a that was a playing with the lead. They were trying to come back takeaway. But the first takeaway was pass rush.
It was.
Pressure.
Yeah.
So I would argue that with Greg Rousseau, Von Miller, who still is showing life, and A.J. Epinesa, if those 3 can remain healthy, the Bills will enter the playoffs with their best 1-2-3 pass rushing lineup that they've ever had in the Josh Allen era.
It's a big statement. I respect it. What else stands out to you about this defense and just what they've been able to do so far this season?
Yeah, I think getting this speaks to the Brandon Beane draft and develop assembly line. Terrell Bernard, is playing at a top 10 linebacker level, top 10, top 12 middle linebacker level. I think top 10 easily. Christian Benford is playing at a, not maybe a top 10 cornerback, but a top half, a high-quality starter cornerback level for a 6th-round draft choice.
Yeah.
And at safety, I did not expect them to be playing this well. The tackling, I thought tackling for Taylor Rapp was going to be a bit of a concern, and DeMar Hamlin after last season. Hamlin had very limited play last season, but Rapp had, was their 3rd safety, and I didn't think his tackling, I thought it was a question mark. His tackling has been outstanding. Hamlin's tackling has been outstanding. So the production they're getting from their non-big name defenders has been really good.
Yeah, and we talked about health on the offense. They should be getting a little healthier on defense, too. They've got quite a few guys on IR right now. When Matt Milano gets back in this mix, they have started his 21-day practice window. I think that'll be huge for the Bills. I do expect a slight ramp-up period for him. But still, I think that'll be, really key down the stretch to get Matt Milano back in here.
Right, Milano, and actually Dorian Williams has played well. I don't know that you want to give Dorian Williams some snaps even when Milano comes back. Maybe pass rushing situations. They used Dorian Williams as a spy on the last series against Mahomes. That was a good idea. Dwayne Carter, with the wrist injury, will be coming back. Whether he's back for San Francisco or not is irrelevant, but he will be coming back to the lineup post-bye. DeJuan Smoot could be coming back down the road. So, yes, the defense is getting healthier. Run defense, I think, is going to be has been a challenge at times. I thought it was interesting. Andy Reid said he should have run more. I agree with him.
Yeah.
If they play the Chiefs again, the Chiefs will have Isaiah Pacheco probably, and the stop in the run will be harder, so that's a worry. Sorting out the run defense will be something interesting to watch. How much between Jordan Phillips and Quentin Jefferson, who I like. Phillips has given them good snaps. And then Austin Johnson, how does that rotation work itself out down the stretch of the season? The Bills like to play stop the run with a light box, which is a big challenge at times. and it's going to be a challenge against a good running teams, they could face in the playoffs. Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Baltimore, obviously. The Bills' run defense is ranked 13th in yards allowed. Advanced analytics, though, DVOA, they're 7th best in the league. So it is been a little better, but it's still... They make the run defense hard on themselves intentionally because their priority is defending the pass.
Now, while it is the bye week, we will still have a story every single day of the week in the Buffalo News for y'all. Mark, you're working on one about Josh Allen. Let's talk about him and just what he means to this team and what you're writing.
Yeah, well, the topic of the week is Josh Allen now has kind of the superstar play of the year touchdown run, and the win over Kansas City has pushed him up the MVP discussion. And now, according to the DraftKings Sportsbook, he is the favorite, slight favorite over Lamar Jackson in the MVP race. The interesting thing is his MVP stock arguably has never been higher.
Right.
His passing yards have almost never been lower. He's on pace to have his lowest passing yards season since 2019.
Wow.
So why is that? Well, I would argue that despite this is one where stats don't really tell the story. I think any Bills fan, and the two of us would agree, Josh Allen has never been playing at a higher level.
Yeah.
His decision making, the ball placement, where he goes with the ball, the way he attacks defenses, the turnover limitation, reduction. He is playing the game at the highest level of his career. It's just the numbers. His passing now, they haven't needed him to pass as much as they needed him to pass in 2020 and 2021. Part of that also is the way the evolution of NFL offense and NFL defense. If you look at Patrick Mahomes is, I would argue, at the height of his powers. He's playing at as good a level or as he's ever played, but he is on pace for his lowest passing yard total since 2019. The Chiefs are on pace to have the most rushing attempts they've had since 2019. The Bills are on pace to have the most rushing attempts they've had since 2019. Allen is on pace to have his fewest passing attempts since 2019. So this is all part of the yin and yang, and it's relevant to bring up Mahomes and the Chiefs because defenses play Allen very similarly to the way defenses play Mahomes.
Yes.
fearful of his running, fearful of him beating over the top, shell coverages. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic there. So that's one story we're working on.
Yes, and that story should be out tomorrow, Thursday. I'm looking forward to it for sure. A story I'm working on this week is actually about Jamarcus Ingram. The Bills quarterback has written a children's book. It's coming out 10 days from today as we're speaking, but November 30th. But he talked to him just kind of about the process of writing it, what that was like, and why he wanted to do it. So I thought that was a really, cool for him to take time out during the off season to work at that. He said he got writer's block during it, which I said was very relatable.
Wow.
But he worked with an illustrator and everything. It's called The Little Player That Could. And he wants to actually turn it into a series where he does other books based off different job professions. And so part of it was he wanted to leave something behind for his kids when his playing career is done. So I thought that was very cool to hear that he was working on and looking forward to the book itself coming out.
He's a really interesting guy to talk to, yeah. The whole DB room is interesting. It has a bunch of interesting guys. I've got a long feature coming out about recovery, the subject of recovery by NFL players from Sunday to the next Sunday.
Yes.
6 days they have to get their bodies right. And there's a cliche that playing an NFL game is like being in a car crash. And, then the players say, yes, it's like being in multiple car crashes.
Yeah.
So how do they get their bodies right? What are the things they use? Von Miller says it's 2024. I do everything. There's all this science out there. Let's do it. So cold tubs have been a thing. Like sit in a cold tub for 10 minutes. The temperature is 48 to 52 degrees, and it reduces inflammation. So it's all about reducing inflammation, increasing blood flow. The cold tub, they say, it's terrible the first 60 to 90 seconds, but after that, your body goes completely numb, and it doesn't bother you at all. Then they'll alternate cold tub and hot tub, like a spa, just like cold tub and hot tub, reduce inflammation, increase blood flow. But there's so many things they do. They do needling, acupuncture.
Yes.
Taryn Johnson, I think, is a big believer in that. They do, many of them have their own massage therapists. They have massage therapists in the building that the Bills contract out, and they have massage therapists at home that they hire. And a bunch of players say, like spending $50,000 to $100,000 on your own on a body guy is a drop in the bucket if it means you get to play, you stay healthy. You get to play one more year in the league is a $3 million salary or more. So, the having your own body guy or buying a oxygen chamber for your basement, which some of them have. They sit in an oxygen chamber, blah, blah, blah. So there's all this litany of things they do, and it is practically a full-time job keeping their body right. So, another thing that's not in this story, like Eric Wood believed in the cold tub, and he wrote a book about life after football, and he still believes that cold therapy, he recommends that everyone should take a freezing cold shower in the morning. It's good for your body. So, Katherine, I want you to try that on this bye week.
Yeah, I'll definitely report back next week on how that went. To that point, we will be back next week. We'll have all these stories in the Buffalo News for y'all leading throughout the bye week leading up to San Francisco next week. But then make sure you're subscribing wherever you get your podcasts and reading buffalonews.com for more stories.
Treat your team to the most flavorful pizza on game day at Picasso's Pizza. 4 great Western New York locations: Williamsville, West Seneca, Lancaster, and Blaisdell. Picasso's. We are Buffalo's Pizza since 1980. Order online today at picassospizza.net.